Are we? Oh, hey. Well, welcome to Sunday, February 1st, Township Committee Budget Meeting. If you're willing and able, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, and indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm going to move on to the open public meeting statement. Pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this meeting was sent to the Cranbury Press, Trenton Times, and Home News Tribune on January 9th, 2026, posted on the Township's website and sent to those who requested a copy of this notice. We'll move on to roll call. Mr. Christopher?
Here.
Mrs. Elbadawi?
Here.
Dr. Rogers?
Here.
Mr. Scott is currently absent, and Mayor Knierim.
Here.
Thank you.
First item on the agenda, just quickly, salary pool. I discussed this with the Personnel Subcommittee. The pool for this year is a little bit less than it was last year. It's 3.5% this year. That's based on cost of living adjustment, which is what we always go by. I have already given the employees their increase due to the fact that premium sharing went up so much. Some people are actually coming home net less than they did last year. So to be fair, we gave them the increase January 1st. So I just wanted to let everyone know, and that'll go in the minutes. So if there's any question from pensions about why it's a 3.5% pool.
Could we ask a question about that, or do we ask it later? I'm just,
You can ask a question.
personnel pool is everyone, like, including
police.
part-time people?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
okay,
not-
like
not
the rec
police.
director and,
Correct. The pool is for any employee that is not contractual or is not paid for out of the trust fund. So construction is not included in that. Fire official and assistant fire official are not included in that. Although they did get 3.5, but that's not part of the tax base. It comes out of their money.
so that, so if we hire someone for the rec camp or something like that?
No,
Oh.
rec camp is completely different. That's contractual.
Okay, thank
Yep.
you.
Okay.
Oh, not contractual, okay,
Yep.
okay, got it.
Next is police. So that would be the chief. We're going to go over his capital and discuss a potential, I'm going to call it an SRO, although that's not what they called it. But we're just going to go over that briefly after we go through capital.
Good morning.
Let's start with capital for 2026 request. Police vehicles. We did lose 2 vehicles.
Oh, Deb, you yell at me. We did lose 2 vehicles last year. One was from an accident. Although, all things being said, we will recoup pretty good amount, so we'll be able to replace it along with the money that was requested. The first 2 line items are just that, vehicles and the equipment that goes inside the vehicles. For traffic safety, again, those signs that we put out, the message boards, cones, all the equipment, flares, I could just go on and on. It's very similar to years past. We're trying to do more with less. I know that number at the bottom looks bigger, but nothing's going down in price, no matter what we're trying to purchase. The camera system is working out. They're traffic cameras. They're used for any type of crime or alleged crime. We can go back, and if we have a year, make, and model, we can try to search those cars, limit the scope. If they were on the portion of roadway that we think suspects would have went, I think solved 2 or 3 last year alone for eluding charges, second-degree crimes, where they fled from our officers, and we were not chasing, but we were able to get the plates, track them, get them down later on. So,
How often are those cameras used and tapped into for our neighboring towns? Because I imagine with the major cross streets for us, like Cranbury Neck and Station and Old Trenton, all that, like
Yeah, we don't have them there yet. We only have them like along the highway, but we do tap into numerous towns whenever there's an incident. It doesn't log. We have a shared service agreement, so it doesn't log when someone comes into our system or vice versa. It logs it for me that if I went into South Brunswick, we would be able to see it, but I don't know who's coming to see ours. I can't answer that. I'm sure there is a way, and I'm sure the company knows, but I don't.
Do they ask? That's what I'm asking, like.
Oh, yeah, shared service agreement, but you don't ask per time. You ask for, once, okay, Cranberry's up and running, Cranberry, can we have access to your cameras?
Got it.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's a statewide, they did change the parameters. There was actually out of state that were requesting as well. And we had an audit and the state police decided that they didn't want out of state. So we're not doing out of state currently.
Got it.
How many cameras?
Excuse me?
What's the total number of cameras?
There's only 4 right now. Requesting 4 more. Yeah, our township's pretty big. We were slated for 20. Obviously, that costs money, and that's going to take time. So the additional request is for 4 cameras.
And just major intersections or?
Yes, right now it's major intersections, but not all of them. Obviously, we have 5 or 6 on 130 alone, but more towards the warehouse districts where we're having some higher end thefts, stolen motor vehicles. We will, if approved, we will push this way a little bit towards town.
And does the state, like on 130, does the state?
They don't, because they know the towns are going to do it. So they're not doing anything. And the county's looking into it. There's a grant that I applied for. Will put us on the list for, to see if the county, and if they do approve it, then we'll get 4 from the county that will cost us nothing, which will help.
The footage that you get, you guys keep it for a certain
3 years.
3 years?
Yeah, we own the footage for 3 years. The equipment we don't own. We don't own the cameras. That's for liability reasons. Car hits it, smacks it, stolen, damaged, vandalized. The company takes care of anything. It's essentially like renting the equipment. But the data that comes from that equipment, we own for 3 years.
I remember this was a conversation we had maybe 2 years ago when
Right.
when the idea first crept up, and there was a conversation about crimes sort of within neighborhoods, and it was offered up that if these cameras did exist, then we could have maybe apprehended those people. So it's nice to see an idea come into implementation.
Yeah, it just takes a little bit of time, like everything else.
Of course.
Could I
Yes, you can.
without like spilling secrets or anything, are these like traffic cameras or like?
Yeah, they don't do people. They do vehicles. They
Like, is
do
it like the kind that you see up on?
Yeah,
lights?
license plates,
Okay.
just license plate
Okay.
readers. That's all they do.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Year 8 is the next line item for the county radio system. Obviously, that was a 10-year contract, and it's just a warranty to keep it up and running. We were very fortunate. I want to say that I swear, I think when they give you a 5-year warranty like we had, nothing happens. And then year 6 and 7, it was like the end of the world. And I didn't know. I'm like, am I being punked now? Like even the portables. I mean, the
I'm
radio's
convinced
$8,000-9,000.
Microsoft manufactures guns too. Like
Yeah,
whatever
I
you
mean-
think is about to expire, it expires. Cell phone carriers.
I think they
same
could
thing.
tap in and say, yeah, okay, time to break
Yeah,
now.
time to break it.
But yeah, I mean, each one of the portables that an officer carries is north of $8,000. The warranty is $8,000, and we replaced 4 of them last year. So obviously, it was worth its weight in gold. It covers the whole fleet, covers all of our cameras, the main hub. I apologize, all of our cars, the main hub, and every portable that an officer carries. So I mean, it's a no-brainer with the warranty. Replacement of firearms. This is allocated. This started last year. It will end in 2028, and then we replace the Department of Firearms. Building and grounds. This is all the equipment that we have, IT, training rooms. Unfortunately, again, what I just said, things go. We just lost 3 APC units, one at a time. And I just got the quote, and each one of them is, $2,500. And that keeps the brains. We were serving, we had the county here, we were serving a high-risk warrant. Never fails, 3 o'clock in the morning, phone rings, come in, the whole system is dead. Yeah. It was nothing you could foresee. It's nothing, it wasn't, they didn't warn, 3 different units, so one at a time, systematically. Again, when the time comes, the time comes. So I am staggering them. as we speak, but that money will go towards that. Again, computer and equipment, the infrastructure, that is separate than buildings and grounds. And then the last two line items are our camera system, which we signed a 10-year contract. It's just year, I don't even know what year it is, year 2 into that contract. These are the officers' body cameras and the in-car cameras, as well as it's the same company inside of headquarters. We have an interview room inside when you walk into the lobby. To the left, if a victim comes, domestic violence, we're not going to bring them into the cell area. And then there's an interrogation room. Those cameras are all tied in. It's all one company. It's all the same state contract. And we'll be able to, if we put body cameras in there, it would upload as well. Just continue the interview, and everything's all that can be sent to the prosecutor's office. It brings a lot.
Hey, Chief, real quick, I'm back to the beginning, the police unit. Is that 1 or 3
That is
cars?
that is 2 marked units and hopefully 1 unmarked with the
Okay.
offset
Right.
of the money
Okay.
for the total vehicle that we got.
Works for me, thank you.
You're welcome. Always 2. 1 will never do anything for us. One day, one night. It's kind of how I try to rotate the process through. We've been doing that now for probably the better part of 7 or 8 years. It's been working out.
How many vehicles total do you guys have?
Patrol vehicles, maybe 10, and then 5 detectives and administration, so 15 vehicles. The other ones that you see are just ones that are barely hanging on. They're used for road jobs. They're used for, I will not try not to put any money other than oil change or service maintenance for them. When that comes, they just going to stack, and then we're going to sell when we have our every 4 or 5 year township sale. We used to have a lot more. We used to have a lot more cars, but we haven't been doing that lately. So I'm trying to team up with Jerry. When the time comes, we'll have an auction, and then Denise can tell you where the money goes because I have no idea.
It goes to surplus.
There you go.
Question about this Axon. Is this,
Yes.
So this 68,000, is that, are we paying that every year? Or is that
Yes.
Every year. And is that new equipment or it's just like?
It's not, well, it's funny you say that. It's not new equipment. However, we are on a 30-month cycle. Every 30 months, we get new equipment. It's a 10-year contract. Every 30 months, we get the body camera, say this is version 3, we get version 4, whenever it comes out. So every 30 months is their upgrade, and it's automatically included. But in this is the warranty. I had 2 body cameras that broke. One was involved in something. The other one just, it didn't work. So we call them up. We get another one that next day. That one gets sent out, and a month later, or whatever, we get them back. So it includes all the warranty and everything associated with it.
I see it's a state contract, so is every department basically?
Well, I don't want to say every department because there are a couple other vendors, but Axon has the state contract. They do all of the state police. The majority of New Jersey, if I had to guess, I would say 80%. If you ever see any police videos that aren't New Jersey, they're Axon. So they do the majority of the United States as well. They're a huge, huge company. Yes, Barbara.
As usual, I have a question about
Yes, I know it's
moving,
coming. Yeah.
moving towards EVs. I know this, like, you know, I don't know the Chevy 4-wheel drive, probably, I don't know if they have any, you know, either hybrid or EV. I know, you know, the next whatever cars that you would look at, you know, I know you're keeping an eye on possibly
I do.
moving
I
towards
look at
that.
them. We had people come to headquarters. They gave us astronomical estimate. It's the up cost to try to flip them to electricity. For patrol pursuit rated, they're not there yet unless I want to buy a Mustang because they're the only ones that have about 300 horsepower. Being funny, you cannot fit them for a police vehicle. But I did go from the 8 cylinders. Last year I made a decision. I went from the 8 cylinders for patrol every day to the administration, the detectives also would use those. We would just cycle them through, and we will always do it. We now buy 4-cylinder vehicles. They are more than, on average, 500 miles to a tank. So I know it's the minority of the fleet. However, we're at least incorporating them, and I think I only have 1 or 2 old detective cars that will be cycled through as, you know, within the next 2 or 3 years, and then they'll all be 4 cylinders. But for patrol vehicles, I mean, the EVs that you're talking about, they work good in certain cities that are, like Trenton has a couple of them. They're small, 7 square miles. You can, they're really good. For us, it would be I'm not opposed to it. It's just to get it up and running is north of $300,000 just to upfit a substation, to get it, all the ports, everything that you were looking at, where to put them, the charging stations. That's
Right,
the problem.
that's what we were trying.
We were never set up for it because that happened in 2005 when that building was built.
Right.
You can get me a grant, I will find you a spot at headquarters, I promise you. We were looking into that too, as far as grants for that, so.
So the equipment has been getting upgraded, like the cars, the vehicles have been, they're out there. It's retrofitting our infrastructure
Correct.
as well as,
Correct. And I don't know that the equipment's out there we have a lot of
Everything.
highway miles, so
Sure.
we need the bigger cars. And if we do get into, we had several pursuits last year. I don't know what that looks like or what that translates. Haven't done the homework on that because we don't have the ability to get it up and running yet.
Okay.
But I would do it in a second if we could switch that over, if that was a possibility. At least for even the smaller amount of
That's
cars that
what I'm
talking
thinking.
about.
We start small, like
Right, but they
get the
come in-
infrastructure, then start small.
They come into a police building and they came with Jerry and, Denise sent them over, and it's just so much money and nothing's going down in price.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
Yep.
Thanks.
Do we have any other questions about the capital items? Are we good with the police capital items? We're good?
Good.
Okay. So then we're going to move on to the juvenile engagement officer. And I'll let Giuseppe everyone has the information. You've been provided the presentation. I know you know what it's about. I'll just have him give a brief overview of it and then thoughts. It is not in the budget right now. I did not put it in the budget. So if it were a go, I would have to readjust the numbers.
We gave this presentation twice. So if there's any specific questions, I don't want to beat a dead horse.
Right.
I'd be more than happy to take them or answer them, or any feedback you have, pro or con.
I was going to say, for the general public, we haven't had the conversation in public. So we've had the conversation because during a closed session, because we were conscientious if any officers' names or any personnel was going to be mentioned. So that was the reason that it was in closed session. So for the general public, they don't know anything about it
Okay.
unless they attended a Board of Education meeting. If they happen to have attended that, they would have information. So if you could just give a brief
Sure.
overview.
It's a juvenile engagement officer, very much like an SRO, with a little bit of enhancements. The enhancements would be a lead instructor. We currently teach lead at the school every year for a couple months. That officer would be assigned to the school, would be also trained in lead. It would be, something that it would be a Monday through, it would be whenever school is in session, the officer would be in session. It would be during school hours, the entirety. And they would be used for, obviously, the safety of the children, education of the children. They'd be involved in meetings. They would be involved in whatever the day-to-day of the school looks like. They would not be used for discipline, no more so than, a couple weeks ago when I received a phone call, there was an incident there. If we need to send an officer to the school, we would send an officer to school. If not, just because the officer is there, that's not what the intention of a juvenile engagement officer is, or an SRO for that matter. And then ultimately breaks, if you're outside in the, lunch recess or open space, any kind of vulnerability, security meetings, security liaison to the school. And then in the off time, when the school is closed for the summer, that officer would come back to the police headquarters and become a juvenile detective. 80% of most of our juvenile incidences involve the school, one shape or another, because obviously the juveniles, so they're either here or Princeton.
And just quickly, you said that was not included in the budget that was provided. What's the share of that role?
I mean, I'd have to look
Approximately.
at all the numbers, but the share would be, oh, I had it on, I turned it off. The share would be, for 2026, a little over 70,000. And then I couldn't really tell you moving forward because it would all depend on what the police contract increases are, since our contract is up the end of this year and we're gonna have a new police contract next year. And also, I don't know what the insurance premiums or the pension percent will be. So, but for 2026, it would be a little over 70,000. That would be the municipal share.
Would that be 2026 mean January 1 or September 1?
Right, that's the question.
Well, it would have been for the whole year.
Whole year, right?
So a
'Cause we're not
full
looking for
year share is 70K.
Right.
Yes,
Current.
correct.
Yeah, and there's no time to do this year.
Right.
Meaning this calendar, I apologize, this calendar school year, it would be next calendar school year, which would be September, whenever school starts in September.
So then it'll
So
be
for
over
this year's
70.
budget will essentially be a quarter of that 70K.
The third, probably, right? 4
Yeah,
months?
if we were to do it this year.
The
Yeah.
third,
Next year, then it would be over 70.
right, correct.
I mean, I can try and count and divide by
Yeah, no,
4
it's
right
okay.
now. I'm just not that bright this morning, apparently.
So
Yeah,
you
so-
are.
Yeah, it'd be a little
So-
under 20,000 if
Okay.
it's a quarter.
Just for the year, so just.
The agreement would be we 50/50 with the Board of Ed?
Correct.
Is that's salary? What about the pension? and-
Everything.
Everything. So we would tell them how much they need to contribute towards it, because what happens is the whole thing comes out of our budget. And
Oh,
then
they-
they will have to reimburse
they
us for
reimburse
half of that.
And then, so is that you might have said this, but is that 70 everything or is that, we don't know?
Well, that's everything our portion. So I'd have to put 100, if it was for the year, I'd have to put 140 in our budget and then get 70 back from the Board of Ed.
But as far as the pension insurance, that number's not in there.
That's in there,
It's
yes.
in there. Oh, okay.
Mhm.
All right.
And the Board of Education, have they approved this in their budget?
A preliminary, yes. I mean, but we have to draw up contracts. They gave us what you guys are presented with now, and they said yes. They know that number.
Well,
But that doesn't mean it's approved in their.
yeah, I don't know if they know
Well,
that
they're-
number, because their number was a little low. Because I have their number, and for 2027, it was 60,000 is what they thought it was going to cost us. And that's not completely accurate, just because of the increase in
Sure,
insurance.
yeah, everything going on.
They didn't vote on it because it didn't go for vote because their budget already passed last year. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah,
So
their fiscal year.
Yeah, their fiscal is different than ours, but they will, if it's passed, then go back. They would then have to pass it. We would have to get a contract. Both sides would have to agree to it. So there's a lot of work to be done before September.
Yeah, I think what she said was they would have to find the money within the budget they already have. Then I would presume, moving forward, they would put it in their budget.
Yeah, and their budget doesn't work the way our budget
No,
does.
it's
Timeline.
fiscal year.
That's why.
I think it's important to two elements here. We have a plan to this TC that is in essentially a collaboration with the school for a project that the school has initiated. And this is a version of the plan to satisfy the project that the school is interested in. There is another version of the plan that does not involve us. And I think that they have not necessarily explored that route. A yes or a no from this TC does not mean that we are, for or against an officer in the school. It is a decision that we may believe it shouldn't come out of our budget. And then it'll be up to the school to figure out how they want to fund their plan.
So you're adding to head count, unless you're willing to lay off an officer after 5 years, and this doesn't work out.
With that, I'll turn off my microphone.
I don't think that's going to happen.
No, but we're through attrition. I mean, we
Right.
have plenty of I have 2 retirees this year.
Sure.
So I'm just, that will definitely happen. But
It's-
you're right. After that 5 years,
Right.
It's very complex, and I don't know that there's, I think maybe even within this TC body, there's going to be varying opinions, and myself as both a member of the TC as well as a parent in the school, as well as, the advocate for very many vulnerable families within that system. I don't even know really what the appetite is in those vulnerable families to to have the presence of an officer, what that might do for them in terms of their anxiety levels, given the, the situation where it is right now with immigrant enforcement and misenforcement. And so that is a part of a discussion that I don't feel is for us today. I would like, if it's okay, Madam Mayor, that we really separate this into two. The school has a project. We're not opining on whether that project should or should not move forward. That's their project. It's like, us wanting to buy a piece of equipment for town and asking the school to have an opinion or to fund it for us. The school has a project. That's one issue. Let them figure it out whether it wants to move forward or not, and let them look in their budget. We today are being asked whether we would like to fund it. That's that second piece.
Mm-hmm.
So do we have to move, like,
So at this point, I would like a straw poll to decide if we should be putting this in the budget or not. And then.
And I can start that off. I'm not a go.
Okay, Yvonne is a no,
I'm a no as well.
Matt's a no,
I'm a no.
okay,
no?
okay,
I think I'd be a yes, but that's okay.
okay, well, that's okay. Okay, so 4-1, so it's not going in the 2026 budget.
Sounds like no.
Thank you.
Let's go in, you're good. Let's go into our capital budget. We're gonna have Ken come up so we can go over the 3 items that are on the spreadsheet. And then there was a 4th one that Barbara sent over yesterday with regards to Little League. So we'll have Ken address all of those. The 4th one was a scoreboard for Little League.
Okay, so I put in for 3, like Denise said. I can go over each one. The
Rec.
Parks and Recreation
Right.
Commission has been discussing the installation of a gazebo at the Village Park at the point of the path where there's like that little oblong, they've been calling it the circle procurement, but it's not a circle, it's a egg-shaped. But so they've made the determination that they would really like a gazebo to go in there. So that is the one request. That is request number 1. I can put in for a grant application through DCA for the Recreation Improvement Fund, which we've gotten the last 2 years, actually. They've helped fund the tennis court rehabilitation and also the roof at the pavilion. So I would include that. I'm in the process of doing that right now for 2026. I'm going to include the gazebo in there and also the dock, replacement of the dock, which is on another page there. As you can see, Imam actually brought this to my attention late last year. It is in disrepair. People could probably fall right through it. This is a floating dock system, which is actually on state contract. They would come and do the installation as well, so that price includes the installation. This is the other item I would include in the DCA grant as well. I think this one for DCA is a no-brainer, to be honest with you. I think that one would certainly be approved. The third item is the shed for the camp. That shed was built probably before I started here. I'm here almost 27 years. Yeah, it's gone through a few repairs, but it's kind of tilting now, and there's holes all over the place. So we really need the equipment that we put in there. We have to like put plastic bags around, and we can't even keep half the stuff in there. So we really need to replace that. That's not something that the DCA grant would cover.
Got to find a new home for the groundhogs that live in there.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it's really, it's in bad shape. It really
Yeah.
needs to be knocked down, and we got to put a new one in there. And then the fourth one, I guess, was the installation of the scoreboard at the Little League field, I guess Shanghai field. The Little League, before they kind of went out of business in Cranbury, purchased a new scoreboard for that field. It's been sitting down at Public Works for, I don't even know how long, at least 5 or 6 years, probably a little longer. I guess there was a request to have that new scoreboard installed.
Score what?
Uh,
To score what?
So
That's
to score
the
what?
question.
Right. So as you know, just a little background, the Cranbury Little League folded a number of years ago. It was brought into the West Windsor, Plainsboro, Plainsboro
Yeah.
Little League.
Lips,
So now it's West Windsor, Plainsboro, Cranbury, and also it's into Robbinsville as well. They're pulling from Robbinsville as well now. So the amount of use that field gets is very minimal, particularly for games. So I mean, to spend money on that kind of thing right now, I think it'd be wise to say, show us the need, and then we can then take care of that. But I don't think there is a need right
They
now.
hold T-ball there is my understanding, which again, I have a daughter who's played baseball her whole life and they don't keep score in T-ball. So there's that, right? But all the little leagues
Not a whole lot of
between-
balls and strikes called.
No, definitely not
Do
strikes.
we have a scoreboard there now?
That doesn't
Yeah,
work.
that doesn't work.
Okay, so we have a scoreboard that doesn't work, and we have a scoreboard that will work. And so we just keep storage of
It
a functioning
is,
one
yeah.
and keep up a non-functioning one?
Because, I mean, it's
Because it's
$2,500
$2,500 to put
to
the new one in.
install it.
Is the idea maybe if we install it, that they'll use it? I mean, Cranbury kids still play Little League, and I imagine all these games are scheduled in Robbinsville and West Windsor and Plainsboro. Would they use that field if it was more functional?
I mean, it's not a rule for a Little League field to have a scoreboard to be able to use it.
Mhm. Well, why don't they use that field? I mean, it's part of the schedule.
Well,
you
it's
know?
just because, I mean, there's not that many kids from Cranbury that are playing in the league. So it would probably be up to the coach if they're, I really don't know
It's
how
the
many
board.
coaches.
I was
So
around
it's
on
the-
the Little League board when that merger happened.
Yeah.
Correct.
There's just not the volume of kids in Cranbury. So
So
if you've
they-
got a team that has 12 kids from West Windsor and 2 kids from Cranbury, you're not going to play games.
So they
In
do
Cranbury.
everything
In
over at
Village
Ward
Park.
Field. They
Yeah,
do
everything
everything in
happens
West
in West
Windsor and community, and all of that activity has been moved over there.
Is that a
I did a
reflection?
little bit of research on it.
Yeah.
Is there someone who's a licensed electrician? And it's not difficult actually to install it. I mean, it could be a volunteer project as long as you have a licensed electrical engineer.
Huh.
But again, it's the use that is the issue. It's not used. If that board would reconsider, if they would hold tournaments, like Little League tournaments there and try to create a revenue stream that you could attract people. I would love to see those fields used.
I can check. I know the president of the board over there. I can check with them and see what kind of use, and maybe, you know what, maybe they will pay for it if they have some money. If they're going to use it, they have the money. I mean, they have the scoreboard waiting there, so
Yeah.
maybe they could do it.
The struggle over the years, right? There's no lights. The other fields in West Windsor have lights. They can play all night
yeah.
and all evening. There's just not the volume of games like it was even when our kids started.
No lights.
There are no lights in Village Park.
In 2023, this TC was tasked with a open space update, and it was vehemently requested by the Parks Commission at the time. And in that 2023 update, our township planner sort of identified areas in our green spaces that were used and unused, and there was like a duration of time that they were sort of assessed for. And that was flagged as one of the locations that was not minimally, almost used to a 0 point. And it was sort of flagged to say, this is a piece of land that could be repurposed for another, for another element, for another theme, for another game, for another sport, because it was utilized to a 0. Yes, we're having a request by, I don't know if it's 1 resident or 2 residents or 10 residents, but the truth is, if you go to that park on any given day, as we have all mentioned, it remains empty. In fact, it is a location where I see very often residents releasing their dogs off leash, and they just go and do their business in various corners of that facility. So it's like, I mean, if there's, I believe this last year, Parks and Rec heard different requests and different suggestions of sports from residents. And it's almost like, why is that going unheard? But then this element with a scoreboard for a sport that is very sparsely played, sort of getting our airtime here. And so I'm really, really wondering out loud why, number one, that 2023 report is not utilized as a resource, because a lot of this was outlined there. And use really has to determine what we choose to do, especially as our mayor highlighted, in a very expensive budget year.
Yeah, we do have 4 baseball fields.
I think it's a good idea, what you suggested about possibly asking them if there's a way, if they want to fund it. I mean, we have this perfectly.
We do.
You use a little scoreboard sitting somewhere.
We're
somewhere
not even
expensive.
sure it still works now that it's been sitting for so long.
Yeah, that's true too. Okay, I shouldn't have said that. A new one sitting there for several years, and to see whether it functions and whether it can be put in with that kind of. And then, as you said, like, is there a possibility where it can draw people in? Because we do need, like, we have certain things that people come to town for, but this could be a way to bring people to town. And like you had the baseball.
The old time baseball.
Right.
Yeah, the old time baseball. So it could be a way to bring people into town, and use our restaurants, et cetera, et cetera. So, yes, I hear what you're saying, Iman, but we have this field, it's already there. We have this, potential way to upgrade it. So.
I try to be an optimist. I don't think a functioning scoreboard is going to bring people to play baseball in Village Park.
My kids are old. This baseball thing endemic, this lack of baseball playing, not a Cranbury issue, right?
No,
Yeah.
it's statewide,
It's been my whole
countrywide.
life,
It's
for 16 years, so
poor Lisa.
12 of them.
Yeah.
It's been my entire life, and I
They're
can
too
tell you
long.
that
If it could be a
it is
Yeah,
a decline in
volunteer.
participation. It's definitely a decline from Cranbury kids playing baseball. And that's the major reason that the power shift moved outside of
Yeah.
Cranbury for this board.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate, because I know that particularly in this case, that there's some champions for the sport. And the one that has made this request is definitely one of them. And
Yeah,
I
100%.
I love it, and I love the passion for it. But
Yeah.
I'm nickel and diming
I
everything
know.
this year. When I look at the numbers that were, and the issue, the other items that we're about to tackle here, I know 2,500 doesn't seem like a lot of money, but to throw it at something that's not going to be used, it doesn't make sense to
Yeah,
me.
it seems irresponsible. I agree. If we can get somebody
It's
to
more than that.
volunteer to do it, et cetera, great. But I don't have an appetite to spend money.
It's going to be more than 25, right?
Well,
You said quote from years ago for 2,500.
yeah, so it's going to be more than that.
The other thing is the West Windsor Little League may not know about this, and they may have an interest in using it at one of their fields that they're actively using.
Of course they will.
I mean, so what happened was there was some extra money in the Cranbury Little League coffers, and they were spending it before they turned it all over to.
Listen, you've just moved it from one column on the budget to another column on the budget. I'm in complete favor of selling the asset.
Well, I guess technically, does the town own it? It's really the Little League's asset right now. So, but they may, there's the one baseball field in Community Park in West Windsor does not have a scoreboard on it. So they may be interested in and taking it and putting it in there. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, you've
so I
just-
will check
Okay.
with the Little League to
You've also
see.
just answered the question for me. We're being asked to put in something that we don't own.
Well, right.
Yeah,
Maybe.
exactly.
Yeah, I don't know the actual chain of custody of that scoreboard.
Chain of-
It was
It's owned by
kind
the
of, I
Little
guess,
League.
I guess it was given to we were storing it, really. That's really what it is.
Right.
Sorry to bring this up. Does that mean it belongs to the West Windsor League? I mean, did the Cranbury assets go to the,
Technically, I
Yeah.
believe they
Let
did.
them figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let me reach out I guarantee you they don't know that there's a scoreboard that's been sitting in storage for a while.
So there's several different ways of approaching this,
Mhm.
and you come back and let us know
Yes.
whether we put it in by volunteers or whether they
Right.
take it or whatever.
But for this purpose, it's not going in the capital
Exactly.
budget.
Correct.
Okay, so it's a no to that. The other three items, the replacement of the Village Park dock and the installation of the Village Park gazebo, we're going to ask you to put a grant in for. If you get the grant, are we okay with those items or no?
That gazebo is an area where the shade tree is saying that maybe a heritage tree could go there if they want shade. There's a gazebo in our village park that is not even being used. So why are we putting in a second gazebo and, maintenance again? We're not maintaining, we are slowly maintaining things that are in our park. Here's another maintenance thing. So, here we are,
So are we all a no on that then? Well, and
I
because he
hate to
won't even
paint
put a
myself
grant
as
in.
an anti-gazebo.
Well, but we're also not thinking of functionality. We're putting a seating arrangement in a circle where there already will exist 4 or 5 sitting benches. And I think that when Barbara is absolutely correct, the Shade Tree Commission spoke to Parks Commission and told them that our suggestion is a heritage tree of some kind. And it was,
Well, that's interesting because that really has not been brought up at all.
But members-
At the commission
it's
meeting.
been brought up last year and the year before. When the walkway was completed, Shade Tree specifically spoke to the chairperson of Parks at the time, that year and the year after, with the very strong suggestion that anything we install in our ground should really have the shade tree look over it. And they suggested very strongly that a tree be put in the center, especially because you have benches already going to be around.
Mhm.
So we're going to have benches plus a seating in the middle. Conceptually, I'm not sure what that looks like or what the purpose of that is.
Now I can repaint myself as pro-tree in this discussion as opposed to anti-gazebo. Yes, I would like to be pro-tree in this discussion.
Shade Tree, I know Parks spoke to Trade Chief this year, and they didn't offer up any trees they wanted to put in.
I can
Did-
pull up my notes from every
No,
meeting.
I know, but I'm talking about this year. I mean, this,
Did
did they know that a potential gazebo could be being put there?
I believe so, yes. But
Yeah,
Meaning at your shade tree meetings, it was never brought up that a gazebo is going to go in that area. Yeah, well, I don't know. There's a lot of communication blips, I think. But to go to your point, is this TC4 a gazebo in that location?
Another little straw poll. I'm a no on that.
No.
I just don't see it as additive. Again, we've got the pavilion there that we just redid the roof on, that provides that element. We have an existing gazebo. I don't see this as a recreational element, which is what it's being described as. I'm a no. I don't understand the need for it, I guess is. And again, maybe it's scrutiny, and I apologize to every board and commission and everything that's going to be presented today. But my mindset coming into this meeting is every dollar counts for us. That is a potential reduction in a tax increase to our residents. Every penny that we can squeeze out of this budget is how we have to look at the overall budget and the implications to
I agree with that.
our municipal tax rate.
But they're gonna say he was gonna put in for a grant,
Yes.
which may have paid for it.
But
So
doesn't
if
matter,
you
we
don't
don't-
want it, it's a no. No
No.
grants, no money in capital, no.
It is a redundant, if not a non-additive feature in the space that could probably do better with a tree. I'm a no.
I mean, I'm not saying definitely that there's going to be a tree there or whatever, but that, as you're saying, it's a redundance and we
Even
see it.
empty and green, it makes more sense.
Yes.
Okay.
yes,
Okay, so 4 no's. So no grant for that. It's a no right now.
Okay.
Okay.
But if you move to the, you were going to apply for the grant for the dock, right?
Yes.
So expanding on that, because the dock, I mean, the picture sells it, right? Like, I don't want to put my foot, I'm always nervous when I put my foot on that thing. I'm going to go straight through it. But we had discussed at Parks and Rec, I want to say a couple years ago, the ability to enhance that and not just have a canoe launch, but could part of that grant be, there was a talk of people renting or having a place to lock up their canoes or kayaks and have like a rack element that we could have there so that people didn't have to haul their equipment back and forth. And it was a double-sided thing that we were talking about. Could there be an element that would then be a recreational element? Like not just a dock that's there, but a way to like launch and.
Well, the problem with keeping stuff there is who's keeping track of that? Who's making sure that those are locked up, that they're not stolen? Who's reserving the spots to bring the kayaks and the canoes and keep them there? There's an insurance liability with that as well.
I thought it was private kayaks,
Yeah.
not rental.
Not renting out,
Even
meaning,
private.
yeah, so that you would have to,
Leave your
BYOL,
kayak
bring your own
there.
lock and you lock up and there's
Yeah.
a slot there. And if there's one available, it's like first come, first serve and you can store your kayak there. It's like a bike rack.
Yeah.
But you lock your bike in a bike rack and it's a public rack.
All right.
So you can lock your kayak there.
So to your point, though, Parks did bring up very, very, very many plans in the past, but they sort of like start a new project and then start a new project and start a new project. And I remember I was sitting in the meetings when that suggestion was sort of birthed. I don't know, like here we're trying to make a plan on something that a whole, board and commission should have been working on. And this has presented itself because it's an issue of liability. It is completely
Disrepair.
in completely disrepair, and it was discovered during a Boy Scout event. I don't know, Lisa, yes, it was raised. I don't know that we are going to process this to a point that we now have a plan and a budget for it and we can enhance this. How does one approach this project, Denise, when
You take it for what it is sitting on the paper here and
Yeah.
we approve the 15,000 as a line item and we take it as it's described, that it's something that's in disrepair. And we're approving that there's and it looks like it's an improved dock,
Oh, yeah.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
so I
This is-
mean,
this
it's
is
an
like a-
enhancement,
Yes.
right?
Yes, we're going to put it in the capital with the caveat that you're applying for a grant.
Right.
If you don't get the grant, then you're saying, yes, we want to go ahead and fund the replacement of the dock.
What's the cost?
15,000.
I mean,
Okay.
it's actually a liability issue.
Yeah, I don't want anyone on it right now, right?
That's
Agree.
fine. Now we're left with the storage shed. We don't think we'll get a grant for that. That's
You don't?
$10,000.
You want to go back to the dock? Sorry.
No, I think everything that you're saying with the dock, it makes sense. Yes, yeah. Since we're going to the storage shed, okay, is this a Boy Scout project potentially? I mean, this could be like, they're always looking for.
It was originally a Boy Scout project and then the repairs were done as a.
But why
Boy
can't we
Scout.
take it down and then have them do this as a Boy Scout project? They're always looking, they're people
What,
out
the
there
dock?
looking for. No,
No,
this is
the
the storage
shed.
shed. No, God,
I
not
don't
the
want to build
dock.
a
No,
dock.
that went by the wayside. But back to the dock, do we have to do anything with DEP, by putting that in or anything? like that?
I-
It's already
It has to
there.
do with the
Yeah, it's
water.
already, it's
Just-
already
existing
there.
and
So you don't need any permitting
The
or
company,
anything?
I don't think so.
the company I've
just
dealt
wanted to
with
say.
that didn't mention, and I did say, are there any permitting? It's a floating dock.
And it's
so
in the
we're-
water, yeah.
Yeah, so
And it's on the stream bank. Eesh.
But it's already there.
but there's something there already.
Okay,
Yeah.
I
we're
just wanted to put
replacing.
that out
Yeah,
there.
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay, the storage shed, back to a Boy Scout project. I don't know that the Boy Scouts are going to be capable of building a storage shed. I know they did it years ago, but I noticed their projects now are not as complex as that. So I don't know.
And it could be, that could take a significant amount of time too, because they have to go through their planning phases and
And you're
raising
laying
money.
concrete, right? There's no concrete, is there a concrete
No,
floor there now?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes it a little different, yeah.
What's
this
the
is a
size of the
kit?
current shed? I'm sorry.
No, no, this is a kit that's purchased. This is not someone building it. This is like a kit
you
that's being
build it.
purchased.
You could buy one that's pre-built and just have the pad and they just drop it right on.
And is that what this quote is
Yes.
for? Yes, okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh, I was just asking the current size.
And you need it for this year? Is that what you're saying?
Well,
Like,
that's, I mean, if we're gonna be
Takes it
able
that
to,
far.
to get this, to be able to actually store our equipment going forward, because a lot of it, the equipment we've had to throw away over the years too, because it gets like moldy, because the weather is getting in
But
there and all that.
Why can't we take it out of the recreation trust? There's plenty of money in there. And that's what that money's for.
Yeah, I mean, we could do that as well.
I
Can you say
don't
that
see
again?
why
I'm
not.
sorry.
What
I missed
kind
what
of a-
you-
Take it out of the recreation trust. There's plenty of money in there, and that's what that money is for.
How much is plenty of money in the recreation?
70,
trust?
80,000?
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow,
that seems
then
like
that's-
that
that's
seems
a
like a
good idea.
no-brainer.
That's a good idea.
what kind of equipment do you store in there?
The sports equipment,
For what?
for camp.
Rec camp.
It's
This is all for rec
It's all
camp?
for rec camp, yeah.
Wait, I'm sorry. What are we talking about now?
We're
The
talking about the
storage
shed.
shed.
The storage
still on
shed.
the
Whatever the rack.
No, no,
What's
not,
that?
not,
No,
not,
we're
not
not.
the rack.
No, we're done with the
rack
rack
is a
because we
project
can't do that.
No, we can't plan
In
this.
your
This is for
defense,
Parks
we
to
know that
plan.
you worked like the last 36 hours. straight, so that Red Bull is not quite
No,
kicking
not doing
in.
it.
So to your, just to speak to the condition of items in these storage sheds in that area of the school, the PTO has that little barn for their, for their equipment. The Jam Fest equipment kind of sits in that area also. The play material and equipment kind of sits in a storage shed in that area as well. And all you need is one little hole on a roof, on a side, on a ground, and the rats and the squirrels and the, every element of vermin is in there, eating, chewing, destroying, pooping. And so it would be an investment in the items that are already in there to protect it.
The Jam Fest stuff is in there?
No,
It
No.
used to be. The Jam
used to
Fest
be.
stuff is now moved into a proper storage shed. Part of the reason was exactly what we're talking. We couldn't protect it from the elements and from the critters.
it's going to be interesting when this starts melting.
Yeah.
This storm could very well take that thing down.
Yeah, it might do it, yeah.
But Denise had a good idea.
Yeah, just take it out of the trust.
So,
Okay.
so the type of equipment is for rec camp
Yeah.
and what do they? I'm just curious what's stored in there.
Well, like I said, the sports equipment, the basketballs, kickballs, soccer balls, all that kind
Okay.
of stuff. The art, some of the arts and crafts equipment's in there. I mean, there's paper, in
okay.
bins,
Okay.
that kind of thing.
And that would protect, like this new shed would protect
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so we're good.
All right, thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Move that
All
off.
right, so we're moving on to the other capital items. There's only a few left that for 2026, we're not going to worry about 2027 or 2028. Those are just estimates for the plan. For 2026 in capital, there is the clock tower weight cables. This is something that the Paul Mullen provided us information on. It was in your binder. He feels very strongly it needs to happen in order to keep that working. If he says it, I believe it because he spends a lot of time up there and a lot of time researching this stuff. So I said I would bring it forward. It's $5,000. And obviously someone has to come and do it. He's not capable of doing it. And there are not a lot of people that actually do this kind of work.
Yeah.
So they're coming from out of state and they'll fix the clock tower weight cable.
If we amortized all of Clock Winding's asks of this township over the past how many years?
It's not
Have we
much.
spent like a dollar?
It's not
Like,
much.
honestly, like,
It's not
this one to
much.
me is like, we've never been, like, if anybody
Yeah, the
here,
camera.
like, we'd have to go back to,
Yeah, and
back
some
in
of
the
the stuff
day-
they've asked for, we had to say no, like changing the steps to get up there, like that was a no, but mostly everything else is small
Right.
that they've asked.
I'm just trying to put it in context of a request of the township as a total. We really have never been asked or tasked with an investment.
No, they had that one big repair 2 years ago, and honestly, I feel like something like this would be preventative to having a large repair like that. Of course.
This one seems pretty easy.
Okay,
I would really like to thank Paul Mullen for
Yeah.
bringing this to our attention
Oh.
and for all the work he
he'll be
has
so
done in the
excited you
cost.
said yes.
Yes, yes.
I'll let him know on Monday.
The yes will be his thanks.
Yeah, The next item is every year we take township roads because township roads are getting older. And so we have a plan moving forward of what roads need to be done when. Some can be put in for grants and some cannot. So Four Seasons, Licky Drive, Shady Brook, Cumberly, and Applegate are all next on the list. The estimate for those is $1,180,000. If you don't want to do it in 2026, you can push it off to 2027. There's nothing saying you can't.
Where are you in this,
So be on the summary sheet,
oh, on the summary sheet? Okay,
right in the front.
okay,
Yep. It's the second line, various road mill pave.
yes.
Okay. So you can push it to 2027. There's nothing saying you can't push it to 2027 if you want to. However, those are the next roads. And Four Seasons has been asking repeatedly when their roads are going to get done. And we told them 2026, so probably 2027, they'll be completed. Okay. So that's in capital.
We've had visibility of this for a couple of years.
Yes.
Like, which we have to.
That
So
also
like, we
includes
talked about this in
inlets,
2023.
Because we also have to do
Right.
inlets every time we do new roads. So that includes the inlets as well in
Right.
there. Okay. Okay.
Is that possible to get a grant for this?
No, not for that. That's a not. Plainsboro Road, however, the second part of Plainsboro Road, we're going to put in for a grant for that. If we get it, great. If we don't, we'll worry about that in the future. Okay.
We did the part out of town. Right, so this would be what?
No, yeah. Yeah. Yes. Okay, so the next is thermal imaging camera kit. This is something the fire official has asked for. They asked for it last year. We said no because we thought they were going to fire district. So now she's asking for it again. I don't see us going to fire district anytime in the near future. So at this point, we probably should be saying yes. It's $6,700.
What are these things?
It's something that they need for if a fire occurs. It's like a imaging camera so that they can go in when they do their investigation of the fire and look at certain things.
I also think it's to make sure that again, I'm no expert, but I also think it's to make sure that the fire's out, right?
Okay.
Because we unfortunately had an instance last year where the fire was out and then it flamed back up again because we had intense winds. It's that massive fire that
Oh, really?
occurred in the beginning of the year
In
that actually
Cranbury,
was a spark up again. So I think this
Right.
also contributes to making sure that it's been properly taken care of. I could be completely, that could be
this is-
fiction on my part,
So
but
under
right
the-
now, what do they do?
What?
Right now, what do they do?
That would be a fire company question. This is our fire official, so I think what she's using it for is to go in after. Fire officials have to go in after, and they have to do an inspection of the fire.
Okay,
it's not the fire company. it's
yeah,
the
it's what I
Right.
thought,
Right.
not under the fire company.
Right. This is the fire official.
All right, Lisa?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The next whole bunch, all the way through acts on evidence, those were either recreation or police that we talked about already. Miscellaneous road repairs and resurfacing, I put 20,000 in every year. That's for Jerry. If we have some major problem on a road that we need to fix, like there's a pipe underneath our road that breaks, and now we have to go and we have to mill and pave a section of it. So we make sure we have money set aside for those things. You'll see that every year.
But you know, since we're talking about roads, I saw a line item in the police that says vehicle maintenance expenses dash road. I know, but I know that's in operating. budget.
In operating,
Yeah.
that's different than this.
What's that?
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know what
probably vehicle maintenance. No. That's vehicle maintenance roads for Jerry's vehicles, not for police. There's a police one,
Oh,
there's a
public
roads
works.
one,
Oh, okay.
right, and then there's a fire official one under vehicle maintenance. So any vehicles we have that we own in those three areas, there's vehicle maintenance on existing vehicles. Okay?
So ones that go on the road.
Those are public works
Okay, so
vehicles.
you were talking about road and
Yeah, no, that's different, yes. Next line item, sewer improvements. Once again, we need to be putting money in every year. Our sewer infrastructure is getting older. We are having problems with piping. So we need to make sure when that happens and there's an emergency, we have money set aside. Otherwise, we would have to do an emergency appropriation, and we do not want to do that.
This is a strange question, but because, I mean, maybe we've lucked out. If you can look at the glass half full scenario, that most of our water main breaks happened on the county road, right? So there's a benefit to that because the county has to take care of it and we don't. But we have to pay police like overtime and stuff like that. Is there a way that these sewer improvements, can this line item be used to pay for that?
No, this is capital, so no. No, but it's fine.
Wrong answer.
That was
That's
worth a try.
fine.
I know it's worth a shot.
Because we
but
also
yeah.
own pump stations.
Yeah.
So we need money.
Right,
We have
right,
pumps
right,
in our
right.
pump stations all the time, things that need to be, retrofitted, repaired, or replaced.
Right.
Just so
Got
we
it.
So
need
this
money
is,
for that.
this is specifically for that. It has nothing to do with any of our shared components, our
No.
shared service components. So this is just for what we own within the
Yes.
town limits.
Yes.
And what about, like, if there are trees that, does money come out of there, like if the roots are getting pipes and things like that?
Well, it would if we have an issue with one of our pipes and we have to go in and fix it because there's roots in it, or yes, it would come out of this. Yeah. As long as it's not. a
Sounds
county road.
essential.
Yes.
Sounds completely
Yeah.
essential.
Yes,
Water
okay.
is essential.
Feels like a no-brainer. Yep.
The next two line items are for affordable housing. We knew they were coming.
There are lots of zeros on
Right,
that
there's
one.
lots
Lot
of
of
zeros
zeros.
on them. They're estimates
Yeah.
at this point. Hoping we're not gonna need more, but they definitely have to go in the capital plan.
Yep.
Okay?
No choice.
Just to frame it, if you took out the next two line items, I mean, we're dealing with like a, $2.8 million budget.
Which is normal.
Which is a normal budget.
Because, I mean, the police capital alone.
When we talk
That's right.
about
It's-
the things that
yeah.
we have to talk about, which is our municipal tax rate, just for the general public watching at home, if you take out those two items, we're on point with our budget. There's nothing out of the ordinary that we're approving from a capital
No.
expenditure standpoint.
Correct.
We're on track.
And to reiterate for those folks at home, that topic we're talking about is affordable housing, right?
Yeah.
I think as we talk about it, we need to use the words as
Yeah,
often as
and
we
if
can.
you-
It's a completely normal capital year outside of the affordable housing.
Well, it's
mandate.
actually even less, because if you take the $1 million Plainsboro Road, which we're not gonna fund if we don't get a grant right now, that's even less.
So we're lower, yeah.
Yeah, we
Okay.
were, everyone was careful this year about asking for capital things, because of that reason.
And again, not to the degree of this many zeros, but this, if you look at the cycle of our surplus and our revenue, and you go back to rounds like 2 and 3 in affordable housing, you're going to see this same dip of activity. But the added complexity is the zeros that we have to add because of the cost of land.
Right.
But I mean, I would even hate to say that we could be looking at we would probably be making an argument for potentially a tax decrease, which we did a couple of years ago, because we are so under and our surplus would be to the point of healthiness. I'm just saying, one of us probably I would have brought that up, because I did all the math, taking all that out, and it's pretty interesting budget.
Denise, if we had to comment on this particular element of our budget versus in years past, this is probably the most expensive affordable housing project.
Absolutely.
Right. I'm good, thank you. I don't.
Land purchase.
Just land purchase, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's important to mention. It
Do
is
the,
just land purchase.
Looking at all these zeros made us need to eat donuts.
Yeah.
That was the trigger for me.
You know what, I am missing one on here. I just
Uh-oh.
thought about it. It's okay. It's a Mason dump truck with a snowplow and sander
I had
For
that on my
90.
list to
for
ask about.
90,000. Yeah, it's not on the list, but I have to put that on there.
Mason dump
Yeah.
truck.
So it's gonna go to 33.1.
Forgive my ignorance, but is the purchase of the land, it's getting tax credits for that, or is
No.
just for the construction of property?
That's for the, right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
on us.
So I thought.
Can I ask you, I'm sure Jerry has used his truck to the Max, how old is the truck that they're replacing? Are they replacing something? here?
They are, the truck they're replacing is probably 20 years old.
Yeah.
Jerry, like.
I'm
guys-
sure. Just want to put that out there. Thank you,
Yeah.
Jerry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And he'll auction that, or,
And the winter we've had, I'm surprised more haven't broken.
yeah. The old truck he auctioned off, right?
Yeah, we can, they auction
Whatever it's
off.
worth.
Yeah, whatever it's worth.
Okay.
Okay, the only last item is, I don't want to forget it, HPC asked about door molding.
About what?
Well, they asked about putting molding on the front and back doors. I was under the impression they had someone that found doors that looked like our old doors, but now it looks like all they did was find molding for the doors that exist. So they only researched, I guess, and found a vendor maybe with that information, but have no callback from the vendor, not sure they can actually even get it, not sure how it's installed, not sure if it would negate the warranty from the company that installed them, and the cost is an estimate. So really no concrete information.
Yeah, I hear a lot of not sures.
What's the estimate even?
5,000.
And that's but based on,
That's just for the molding on,
So one of them, so as the new HPC liaison, I reviewed their budget, and they haven't asked for, I'm not sure what
Their
it is.
operating budget.
Their operating.
Well, they're not really given a capital budget. so
Right,
that's why.
right. So this is the first time they're asking for a capital budget in a long time. But there's exactly that. These are estimates. But I think, is there appetite for them to potentially get actual numbers, guarantees, et cetera? So maybe for next year, possibly.
Well, that's,
Then next year then.
No,
But-
but your point about what does it look like? What is the mechanism of adhesion? Does it negate our warranty? These have to be answered before we even look at putting it as a line item. So it is maybe yet a little premature.
And as you know, and I'm sure you've heard this before too about the doors. The doors, this is a national trust, whatever they, the building is, historic, and they really believe that those doors do not look historic the way they are. And by the addition of this molding, it would help the aesthetics of the building. And it is one of the first things that we do come in and see, the public sees of our town.
so could we commit to them that get all these things answered, and then we'll look at it for next year's budget?
If that's the way we want to operate.
that makes sense.
Because
to
I
me.
don't know if it's
Yeah,
five.
There's too many unknowns to
Yeah.
decide on, I think,
So I
today.
will make sure that, I bring that to their attention.
Well, what if they're able to get this information? I mean, we have some time before we actually adopt this. Is that correct?
well, we're going to introduce probably next Monday.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just wondering whether it's a simple phone call that they haven't done yet.
They're just not getting a call back.
They haven't
because
gotten a
once
call
again,
back.
Not
Oh,
even
that's really
sure.
unfortunate.
It is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have been trying to put in the work, and
I think the question is, do you want molding on the doors? Because if it's no, then let's tell them no. And if it's yes, then let them.
I
Try to
can't
figure
even
it
imagine
out.
what that looks like.
It's hard to
I
see
feel like
what
I'm
it
being
looks like.
asked to.
I don't
just
know because
Googled
they
it,
showed
if it
us
helps you.
pictures of the doors.
What
and it
kind
didn't
of
have
molding do
molding
we
on
want,
it, so I
right?
don't
There's
know.
different
Yeah,
types
they
of
need to
molding
get
that we want.
more information.
But, yeah. And again,
We-
the warranty is huge.
We would need an
we-
actual
we spent-
proposal and a decision on the warranty.
We spent
Proposal
5
and
digits on
decision.
those doors. And because they were paramount to the security of this building, because we all know what they were in shape. If we void the warranty on those doors, that is that we have to find out if that is going to occur.
So Denise, I was at the meeting when a member of the HPC did say that they had found a vendor that had the type of door they would have more supported. And it's regretful that it has come so late in the process, because we've already had a door up there for several months now that satisfied exactly what Lisa's saying. Sort of it ticks the box for what the aesthetic requirements were and the safety requirement. This idea now, I think to your point is, are we going to focus on this? Is this going to continue to be an issue, or are we going to just say, can we move on to something else?
Yeah, because they may come back and say, we can't find molding, but we want a new door. Are you gonna spend another $50,000 on new doors? But my point is, you're making them spin their wheels. So we're leaving the doors as they are, or we accept you're not happy with it.
I'm trying to find some room for compromise.
Yeah.
Basically, what you're looking at is a molding that's around that door right now is what they're trying to enhance. It's an aesthetic enhancement to make it look more historic and honor the history of the building. That's what their job is, right? That's what we've commissioned them to do. So
Yes.
I applaud that side of it to do it. If it's a small investment to do it and doesn't break the warranty, I think that we should consider it. But without any of that information, I don't think that we should be considering it for this year. So happy to do it, but my opinion is get all the facts together, get it in writing that we don't destroy a warranty when we spent $45,000 on those doors to keep our employees safe. That was the paramount issue. If now we want to wrap it in a bow, find out how much the bow costs and make sure that it doesn't hurt the package.
Yeah, I think it's a procedural issue, and we've stressed to our committees and departments, present to us and give us information. And we can't make blind decisions, right? It's not responsible, so
Denise, I think to answer your question, yes, we would consider molding.
Okay.
I wouldn't.
Yes, but not for this year because we don't
Cor-
have the right.
Correct,
We need
100%, but meaning I'm not worried about them spinning their wheels, because if there is a good proposal that is fiscally responsible, I would support it.
And you're saying like, again, before it's adopted, but there's no way that they're going to identify a molding, that they're going to agree on a molding. We're going to be able to get in touch with the door company and we're going to get something in writing that a warranty within the next week. That's what I'm saying is
Yeah.
probably improbable.
Yeah, no, and I know we keep talking about the next year, but the next year has its own issues. Yeah, I'm sorry that this is one that we can't just settle, but yes, thank you.
I think because we've asked for plans from other boards and commissions, as you said, Matt, I think like if they could show us what it would look like and the cost and installation and warranty. I got it. Okay, thank you.
Okay, next item, I remember these right. Increases in controllable operating line items. So you guys have had your operating books and you saw the spreadsheets in the front where all of the yellow budgets are not within your control. They're contractual, they're shared services, they're health insurance, social security, taxes, blah, blah, blah. The items that are within your control that have increased, I just want to highlight a couple of them. Stormwater management. So we had to increase our engineering budget for the next round of stormwater management. That is a estimate from Van Cleef to do the work, the bare minimum requirements of the work. We also know, Iman and Barbara know, that there is a regional approach that's being looked at. There's a lot of questions to it still, trying to figure out how many towns are interested in being part of that regional approach, because if it's not enough, then it's going to cost more money than what it would cost for Van Cleef. So right now we have it in Van Cleef. If the regional approach comes in from the watershed and it seems comparable or less, then we would consider the regional approach. But in either case, it's sitting in the engineering budget. So that's why engineering has gone up. So I just wanted to point that out. LoSAP also went up. We give the maximum amount for LoSAP each year. The state provides us that annual contribution. And the reason that it went up is because they had more people qualify for LoSAP from 2025 than they have in previous years, which is good news, because that means they have more volunteers probably and more active volunteers. So that is good. Road salt has gone up. And that's really not within our control, but I just want to point it out. And road overtime is going to be up just because of the amount of snow we've had. So those are really the bigger things in that are controllable within the operating budget that have gone up. I'm going to tell you the things that are not within our control that have gone up and have really increased our budget. Health insurance premiums, $400,000. Okay, that's 2 pennies right there. Library, which is state mandate, $124,000. State mandate, we can't change it. That is minimum that we can provide to them.
Before you go on, can we ask questions as you're naming
Sure.
these off? So the state mandate, like, why is that like, what are they
It's
mandating
based
suddenly?
on your equalized value. As your equalized value goes up, your contribution to your library goes up. And it's gone up $124,000 because our
Sorry,
equalized
equalized value?
well, our contribution to the library has gone up 124,000 based on our equalized value, which is the value, all the assessed value in the town versus all the other towns in the county.
Wow. Oh, aren't we lucky?
Well, good news is we have high ratables. Bad news is, not bad news, but it increases the amount going to the library.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. Shared services, those are contractual things that have gone up, and most of it was recycling, MCIA, because they changed the type of recycling cans that we're using.
Can I ask you a question about that? Because
Sure.
I have a note that basically the recycling credit that we get.
Recycling tonnage,
But
yes.
the tonnage
We
is
use that, we are
200
using
So
recycling tonnage.
we're paying 220 for the new recycling, but we made 212.
Right,
So they basically offset
we
each
have,
other
yes,
in
the
the budget,
revenue
is the way I read it.
that offsets it. And we
Okay.
use that recycling tonnage money to purchase equipment and for salaries for public works, okay?
So in this, it looked like that disappeared, like the tonnage money.
No,
it doesn't. It's
it's
in your revenues.
212,000.
You have to look at your
It's in
revenue
the
sheet.
revenue.
You're just in your operating
Oh, I
sheet.
was in the operating.
Yes, in
Okay.
the revenue sheet, it's there.
Because
So
that's,
And every
that's-
year we get it during the year, so I can't put it in the budget. Now I do what's called a chapter 159 to add it to the budget.
I think people need to realize, I think residents and businesses need to realize that tonnage money is based on the amount of recycling that we get. So the more we recycle, the more money we get, so.
but that's not the recycling you put out on your curb.
I think it's
Part
part
of
of
everything.
it.
Part of
It's
it is?
everything.
It's
Yeah. Yeah, they
the,
do it by tonnage, and that's done, we have someone who comes in and actually does our
okay,
reports
so it's
every year.
both.
It's ours and it's the businesses as well across
Yes.
130, which
Yes.
contribute very heavily
Right.
to the recycling.
Skeets alone.
Yes.
The other part that I see too is, the clean communities. Are we still getting that grant too?
Well, we do, but we get it during the year, so I won't know what that is
so
now,
you
and I'll
don't put
put
it
it in when we get it during the year. It goes in as a chapter 159.
And we use that clean communities for.
We're using that, we've been using that for stormwater management.
You get,
We've been charging Tom Decker's
so it's here.
stuff to that.
If you go to your revenue forecast,
Yeah.
you've got clean communities, you got it for 2025, but not there yet.
You're not there yet for
No, and
2026, right.
yes, and we use it for different things every year.
use it
Like one
for-
time we used it to have someone help.
Well, we've been using
Trash
it
on the
now for
sidewalk.
stormwater management every year for Tom Decker.
Yeah, because I didn't see that line item in the engineering. Okay.
So the increase with regards to the new recycling containers, are we to maybe assume that is just for this year? Like these containers already exist, so will that exist in the budget for next year
Well,
also?
we won't see that large increase, but you're gonna see the additional money in next year's budget, right? So instead of it being $50 and now it's 75, that 75 is gonna stay forevermore now. So you're not gonna see the huge increase, but you're still gonna be paying the increased price.
And that's something that we didn't, I feel like I've had residents ask why we went into that program. I don't think we had a choice in that. That's
No.
something right? The
No.
county made a decision and we had to be on board.
I also, like MCIA.
That's Middlesex County Improvement Authority, that's
Okay.
recycling.
Okay, and so there's like a big salary increase on that line? I mean, I
That's
know
not
that's
a
not
big
something.
salary increase. Every salary has an increase for the 3.5%.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, so that's why and of course, that's our shared service, so we have to pay into it.
Yes.
But I saw that
Correct.
increase.
Correct.
Thank you.
So general comment about the budget, when you look at the 2025 requested budget, and I imagine that this historically is, what I'm about to say is true, versus what we've spent. we're very conservative in our budget planning because the actuals versus what we budgeted tend to be significantly lower.
Right, and that money then goes into surplus.
And then that goes
But
into,
the tighter your budget gets, the less money reserves
Is
you'll
going-
have at the end of the year that'll go into surplus.
right. So I think where we're being ultra conservative, where we have to be accurate is on the uncontrollables, right? So you're talking the health insurance, the things like recycling, the things that are beyond our control. We can't control what's going to happen there. We're dictated what those are. But on the controllable side, we still show conservativeness, like, based on historics.
Yeah.
Right? And so one would say that we will have some money that will come out of this at the end of the year and go into our surplus.
I would estimate, well, we won't see this in our surplus in 2027. It's 2 years.
Right.
So we'll see 2025's reserve show up in surplus in 2026. And I can tell you,
That's
it's
about-
going to be half probably. It's going to be 500,000, not $1 million.
That's what I was looking. I was looking at the bottom line between the budget versus actuals 25 to spent in 25. And there seems to be, that's what I was saying, about a half a
Right.
million in my brain.
Correct.
We could forecast going into
Correct.
surplus. Have we accounted for that in surplus in these
Yes.
calculations?
Yes.
Okay.
Why
Okay,
that
that was my
drop off?
question.
What?
Why that drop off from 1 million to 5?
Well, it depends. We've been spending more money, right? Everything went up. So everything, that we could have been more conservative on now is costing 25% more than it did, and we're spending it.
Sorry,
that
what's the million we're talking?
The
So,
surplus, like-
so we had money left over from our operating budget in 2024 that
Yep.
or 2023 that went into our 2025 surplus of $1 million. It's 2 years behind.
Right.
So now we're looking at what's going to be left in the end of 2026 to go into surplus. It'll probably be 500,000, not $1 million.
Because of the cost of everything going up.
We just
Right.
spent more
that
money in
got
2025.
narrowed.
So it's year over year changes. Okay. Because
Yeah.
essentially, right at the 25, I saw the same number you saw. It's about 400 grand.
Yeah, and the reason I'm framing it that way is because every resident's checkbook looks the same, right?
Yeah.
Every resident's checkbook that they're doing their deductions on groceries and health insurance and everything else replicates what's happening to the township. And that's what I'm trying to put my mind in there as we're about to have this discussion on, again, this municipal tax rate, is that their budget, their P&L looks like our P&L.
So the two big things that are going up and are going to go up in the future are going to be your debt payments and your capital improvement fund.
Which is like the
So-
last,
Your debt service payments, all right, are about $180,000 more in 2026 and 2025. And that's not anything you can change. It's based on the bonds that you've gotten and what the principal and interest are. And as they age, you start to pay off a little bit more in principal, right? So you're going to see that go up.
and that's 2019, 13, 19, and
2025.
5. Yeah, 13, 19, and 2025,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
Okay, and so then in the out years, you're now accounting for what we're putting in this year,
Plus our new bond. for
plus our new
affordable
bond.
Housing.
Right, okay, so that's what you're seeing in the out years when you look at our surplus. That's when we get the big, now you've got 4 of those debt payments that are impacting our
Correct.
surplus.
Correct.
Okay,
Because we just expired a
Yep.
couple of our bonds in the last couple of years, but now 2013, 2019, 2025, you have 20 to 30 years on those, right? So you're
They're
not
not going
anywhere
anywhere.
near paying those off yet. So you have a lot of time left on those. Plus, you're going to have a new one from 2026 for the affordable housing.
So it's a problem that's compounding
Right.
itself. And we coupled that with, we don't have increased ratables because we're not building at the same rate that we were. I mean, we can assess, our assessed
Correct.
value can increase, but
It's increasing a little bit, and you'll see it bump up in about 5 years, maybe based on the estimates. That's due to the Alfieri warehouses,
Yep.
if they get built and go on, right, if, these are estimates. If
Yep.
they don't, then it doesn't.
But outside of that, again, as we all experienced when we were looking for developable land, it's the same issue, is that if we couldn't find places to develop, then other people aren't going to find places to develop. And therefore our
Right.
ratables we're pretty much developed.
Yeah, I was gonna say, for all intents and purposes, we're built out.
Which is great because that is the number, that was the heaviest number that contributed to our round 4 housing
Yep.
units.
The industrial.
Was the industrial that we had nothing to do with building.
Almost double the average of any other municipality was that industrial growth percentage that we had. That's what hurt our number. You're right. So we're not going to have that. Whoever's sitting here is not going to have that for round 5.
And they're also not going to have much developable land.
Correct.
But again, that hurts us from a revenue perspective.
And don't forget, the whole equation could change by then too, so.
How I would impact, right?
Right. Right.
As these warehouses modernize and reconfigure themselves, do we do a revow as far as? rateable?
Yes, they'll look at it again. And we'll also get construction permit fees from that, which will help the construction department continue to sustain itself. Because right now it's not in your operating budget. But once major construction stops and major permit money comes in,
Yeah.
at some point, you are legally required to have a construction department. It may look a little different than it does now, and that will have to go into your operating budget. So the longer they can sustain themselves from the trust, the better. So yes, when things are retrofitted, that helps the construction department.
And do we get any, forgive me again, but do we get any ratables from the affordable housing, like when they're online?
No,
Right, that's what we talked
We
about.
get a pilot.
We get a pilot.
yes, no rate.
That's a fixed number?
Yes. Yeah. The big thing that pushed the budget over this year was capital improvement fund. That is your 5% down payment on your capital items.
And that's
So
5% interest and 5% principal?
no, it's not bond payments. It's a down payment.
Right, but I'm
So-
saying is that it's a bond principal 5% and also you're putting down 5% of the expected interest?
No. It is, if our capital items are, I'm just going to use a number, $2 million, right? Those capitals we went over,
Mm-hmm.
5% of that has to come out of your operating budget, okay? So you cannot fund that 5% with a note or a bond. It has to come out of your operating budget. Because our number is so large this year for our capitals, I need money in my capital improvement fund, okay? So that you're not going to see, you shouldn't see a number like that in your capital improvement fund next year. That should go down. And I've reflected that in the spreadsheets so that your operating budget is $1 million less than what it would be this year, right? Okay. So that's why the operating budget looks like it does. That is why it has increased so much. With that being said, I've given you spreadsheets, 3 spreadsheets. Now you can cut and slice this, slice and cut
Wait,
this
before
any
we
way
go
you
there,
want.
real
Go
quick,
ahead.
yeah, a couple of, I think, lingering questions. For affordable housing, that is an allocation of salary, correct?
Yes.
Right. I just want to make sure it's clear, again, for those members of
Yes,
the
it's an
public,
allocation of existing salary, not additional.
not additional. I
Correct.
just want to make sure everybody understands that when they look at these
And the reason
73,000.
that we do that is because certain budgets are outside cap and certain budgets are inside cap.
Right.
If you want to stay within your inside cap amount, not use up all of your cap bank so that you have it for the next 2 years if you need it, some salaries are put outside cap. It's just a way of shifting the amount around, but it's the same total regardless of what budget it gets charged.
I just wanted to clarify that
Yes.
for the public.
Yes.
And truth be told, regardless of what we get paid, I would say that 80% of our salaries could have been dumped into affordable housing this year.
Oh, could have. It's just not enough to
At
make
least.
a difference.
Exactly. We're a rounding error on this spreadsheet.
So, yes,
I just wanted to
Barely.
make sure that was clear.
You
yes.
can put them towards legal fees.
I just really want to thank you for explaining a lot of the question marks that I had.
Sure.
And they do make sense because I'm like, why is there a 0 there? You know, it's because we don't have the money yet. Why is there a 0, you know, in the recycling tonnage? Why is there a 0?
Yeah, we don't have it yet.
Yeah, the BPU community energy plan, even though we know $10,000 is coming, we don't have it yet. So that really
Well, I
appreciate
know that
it.
energy plan, we got that 10,000. That was in 2025.
Oh, Okay, it wasn't reflected in here. Sorry.
The grant's not showing in there?
No,
Wasn't it showing revenue?
or it's showing.
It should show in both.
Oh, it's not
So
in
let
this
me
little
look.
yellow
Which
thing.
one?
Yellow
Let me look,
section.
let me look.
Which one?
The big yellow under library, under government regulated.
Not showing a 25 in revenue either.
Maybe we didn't get it yet then. I thought we got that already.
I don't know.
Isn't that what they're working on now?
They're working on it now. But maybe they don't get it until they actually spend it.
No. That shouldn't be.
Oh, I was just thanking you. I didn't mean to cause a problem. It's under government regulated.
Yeah, then clearly we didn't get it yet.
Okay.
Well, then they can't,
Well, they
yeah,
can,
maybe that's a reimbursable one.
I think it might,
It might be a
I
reimbursable.
can't remember. I remember applying for it for so
It
many
might be
months.
that they don't get the money and, they get the money after they've spent it. Sometimes that happens.
Right. Well,
So
maybe we'll just keep
Right,
an eye on that.
Right.
Okay. Okay. And I really like the things that you're pointing out. I had question marks on all. Why is this going up? Why is this going up? Salaries, 3.5%.
right.
So that
Right.
was a really a big. I just wanted to summarize some of the things, and of course, we talked about affordable housing and how that is really impacting our
Yeah.
bottom line. And I'm glad that the low SAP has gone up because that means we have longevity, which.
Also, I want to point out that fire and first aid contributions, they're getting the maximum amount, provided they provide the audits to me like they need to every year, and they are aware of that. That's every year.
Can I ask a question on Shade Tree? I'm assuming that the increase there is for an arborist?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. Is that going to be like, it's because it's listed under expenses versus salary. So is that like,
It's a vendor, it's not an employee.
right? Okay. So is that on a contract, like as needed basis?
Yes.
So there's no, we're approving to spend that much, but again,
Correct.
it's, you're calling them in as a consultation.
Correct.
So there could be some savings in there because you might not
Oh, yeah.
need them to that level,
Well,
right?
we put it in the year before too, and we didn't.
So
Again-
this next meeting, they're going to, they have a draft of what this arborist is going to do, and boy, is it a big list, and I
Yeah.
would be surprised if they don't use that 10,000 and then even request even more. Our trees are really in trouble, and can cause, hazardous situations. So they have a list of the trees, an inventory, and there's a list of hazard trees as well, so
Okay, because it's
Yeah.
showing here, it's the difference between,
I know what you're saying.
yeah, it's literally like 50 grand. If you're looking at what we spent in 2025, we spent 30.
And that was.
And
yeah.
now we're looking at spending 92. And again, I'm just, as a member of the public is going to weight the things that we just said no to, and they're going to see this list. So I think it needs to be really detailed. And I think that, again,
Because the Shade Tree Commission did not spend really any of their budget last year. They didn't plant a lot of new trees.
Because of the drought. So
What-
they
so
did
what I'm
not
at-
plant because
Right.
of the drought. So that they couldn't use their money there. And honestly, once they get that arborist they on board, which they've been working on, but now they're getting a job description, they're probably even going to
So-
need more than what's in.
what I'm asking is to make sure that Shade Tree understands the year that we're in, and that if there's anything that they can conservatively push to yet another year, there's some nice to haves and there's must haves, and just so that they understand the framework of what they're working in their
Well, they
budget.
wanted way more. Well,
Yes.
Not
I'm
they.
sure that they
Certain
did,
members wanted way more for an arborist, and Kathy Easton and I said, no,
But-
we're not doing that.
okay, so in the spirit of being fiscally responsible, because you have a budget, doesn't mean you have to spend to that budget always. And then just, if
They won't.
if they understand that,
Mhm.
I'm just asking for a little consideration, that they understand that they're part of an
So-
overwhelming budget. But
so-
I understand that they didn't spend it last year and they had it and they put some things off. I get it, but I'm just reminding.
But you also have to remember that we also put into effect the permit, remove and replace, and
Yep.
an arborist needs to start reviewing that. There's over 20, which is good news, is
That's
that, the word is getting out that we need a permit when you remove a tree and
Yes.
replace
That's
a
great.
tree.
Yes.
That's a great point.
So
That's
the
upside.
numbers have gone from 5 to 20, and hopefully this year, if there's work done, people will actually do
Yeah.
that. So
But,
I understand, and that's one of the things I push back on is you haven't spent the money, so how can you ask for more money? So, and
And,
they
and
respect that.
Barbara, they will assess what, to Lisa's point, the needs and then the wants. I feel like a very significant need is what we experienced on the street, where there was roots of the trees that grew into, water pipes, and then it ended up being a very big fix in the middle of the road. And so trees like that being addressed, a need.
The roots, exactly, going into pipes and
pictures are
causing
fascinating.
infrastructure issues.
yes.
So,
Okay, cool.
Thank
I
you.
just wanted to say it out loud, and I appreciate it.
What percentage of that 92,850 is the arborist?
Only 10,000 is budgeted for the arborist.
What's the rest for?
Removal of trees, that's Jerry's budget,
Okay.
to remove trees throughout the year. And again, if he doesn't need
Yeah,
it, he
it's
doesn't use it.
Projected, it's not.
and the other part is planting, and last year because of the drought
Right.
situation, and this year they're trying to figure out a way that we can water, because we do not have a watering truck. And I know trees that were planted on the school ground ended up dying because of the drought situation. So they're being careful, which is good.
They're being responsible. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, so if we go to our 3 spreadsheets, I've given you 3 scenarios. So you can see what happens to your surplus moving forward based on, go ahead. Sure.
I'm sorry, before we move forward, does everyone understand that with the engineering and how that went up a certain amount, and it has to do with our permitting for water quality and flooding? We have a permit that, and so right now it's sitting in the engineering budget line item, and we could potentially have a regional approach depending on February 4th, we're going to find out there's 11 towns that are involved in this regional report, and depending on how many towns actually sign on, that will depend on the cost. So we could potentially have that as an option. Yes, I just wanted to make sure people understand that money isn't sitting in the engineer, but potentially could be a regional approach. Okay, thank you. Okay.
Okay, spreadsheets. So there's 3 scenarios, okay? One is a 7-cent tax increase and zeros after that. One is a 3.5-cent tax increase for 2026 and 2027, and then zeros after that. And then the third one is a 0-cent tax increase, okay? If you look at this, the estimates are based on the tax assessor's estimate for what he thinks assessed value is going to increase to, as well as what he thinks added assessments are going to be. Added assessments go directly into surplus. So that's a number that's important for us. Added assessments have decreased over time. Assessed value is not increasing a lot until perhaps 2030, and even that's not some of the bumps we've had in the past. Operating budgets will continue to go up unless something happens with inflation. And I don't see our revenues really increasing much over the next 5 years. So with that in mind, I've given you these 3 different scenarios. If you look at what's happening with the replenishment of surplus each year, it's okay for 2026 because we are looking to get money from our reverse tax appeals, which is what our tax assessor came in and spoke to the township committee about. And he's estimating approximately $1.3 million in 1 year. But after that, we're not going to see that 1.3 every year. That's a one-time thing, okay? So
How often do they reassess?
well, a reval, I mean, we haven't done in years. He does go do a compliance plan, which is to go to different areas and reevaluate things. But again, the warehouses, this reverse tax appeal is a one-time thing, and then that should all be where it's supposed to be. What could happen in the future is that warehouses, if things go down, rents go down, they'll come in and appeal. And then our ratables will go down, and we may owe money back, which we've never had to do before. But that's something we have to be careful of in the future. But right now, we're not anticipating any of that over the next 5 years. So with all of those scenarios, here's where we are, right? And if you'll see by the end of 2030, if you don't continue to increase taxes, and I can't tell you by how much right now each year, but if you don't continue to increase, you're going to run out of surplus eventually. It's going to happen because we just don't have any big increases to our ratables now like we did in the past. We don't have any big pilot amounts coming in that we weren't anticipating. This can fluctuate a little bit here and there, but overall, got to be careful what you're doing with surplus. So with that being said, that's why I gave you 3 different scenarios. You can slice it and dice it any way you want, but an increase really has to happen this year. It's going to have to happen again next year probably. Slow but sure. I did give you a spreadsheet that tells you the average assessed household is $623,833, right? If we do a 3.5% tax increase, that's for the average household is about $235 per year, $19.54 per month. You're using though $4.3 million of your surplus. So you're using more than half of your 7-cent tax increase is $2 per year. That's $40 per month. You're using 3.5 million of your surplus, so less than half of your surplus. 0-cent tax increase, obviously, 0 increase to the residents, but you would have to use almost $5 million of your surplus to do that.
Denise, in 2029, 2030, if with a 0% increase, there's a negative surplus, how do you do that?
You can't.
Okay,
You
yeah,
can't.
Okay, just
You
so
can't.
I'm clear.
You can't.
That last.
Yeah, yeah.
Gotta start a fire today.
Matt, thank you for pointing that out.
Sure.
Yeah.
We're not the federal government.
So, yeah.
No, that's really important.
You can't.
That's really an important.
You have to be able to balance your budget. So what will happen is you'll have to increase your taxes a
Mhm.
lot. And there is a cap on how much you can increase your taxes. We've been really lucky that we've never come near that cap. But there is a cap. And so it might be to a point where they're like, you can't increase your taxes by 10 cents, enough surplus to balance it. So then you're in trouble and that's not going to happen. You'll
Right.
make sure every year that doesn't happen, but well,
Let's
right,
pretend like
can do
that
a lot of
spreadsheet
things.
doesn't exist.
right.
Can you speak to the past practices? We haven't raised taxes in a while, and we did actually, taxes were decreased several years ago. Can you speak to what that decrease was?
What the tax decrease was the year that we did it? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Yeah, it should be on the tax rate. So that was 3 cents. That was 0.03. Here we are down here. We went from 0.38 to 0.33. So 5 cents.
2024.
Yeah.
20,
So we
yes.
decreased by 5 cents.
5 cents.
And before that, we decreased 10 cents in like 2016? 2018, 2017?
Yeah.
It's a really long spreadsheet to find. Yeah,
I remember a 10-cent decrease.
right.
Yeah, I mean, we had a reval back in 2007, so that's why you see your tax rate go from 0.85 to 0.35 because
Yeah.
of the reval that we had with all the warehouses.
Right.
Yeah, so it changed the whole tax rate. And then it, went up a little bit. The most it was 0.48, and then it went down to 0.38, and then
I mean,
down to
that was a huge
0.33.
drop.
Right. So now we're looking at, if we were to do a 7-cent, you're going to be up around 0.46 from
Right.
0.38.
So we're back to almost.
Well, we're back to where we were in 2018.
These years.
2018.
Wait, so we're back to what year again? Can you say that again?
2018 was the last
2018.
time we had 0.48.
Right. So
And-
we have realized this tax rate before.
But then our assessment, has it been the same?
No, our rateable goes up every year. It goes up every year.
The average assessed household,
That goes up slightly every year too. Not a lot. It's been around 600 and something thousand for the last several years. the
I mean,
average.
think about it, because look at how many single-family homes we built,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
All
I'm
the-
just saying
all the
that
growth was in warehousing.
Yeah.
0.48 back then is not the same as 0.48 now because of the assessed value, average assessed household.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, the other,
So, I mean, it's a matter of what you want to do. I honestly don't think people are going to be that shocked by $482 more a year, $120 a quarter, $40 a month, and you're using 3.5 of surplus. I mean, I just get concerned if the reverse tax bills don't happen next year. Now you're looking at a bigger debt payment as well next year because you have to go out to bond that you're not used to yet. I just want you to be as conservative as you possibly can with surplus. And I think using 3.5 is not conservative, but because we're never going to replenish 3.5 in a year. So we're going to use more than we're going to replenish for sure.
If the reverse appeals doesn't happen next year, it could happen the following year, or they
Yeah.
just could never happen?
No,
It's agreed upon, or?
it's not set yet, but the tax assessor seems pretty confident that we'll get it.
We also have costs that may increase without us necessarily having planned for it. And my mind continuously goes to litigation. Everybody seems to want a piece of this government at this point.
And also, our affordable housing capital could be more than we're anticipating right
Exactly.
now. Could be.
It's when we talk about what's necessary, I think that for me, this is kind of where I sit. Like we have to run a town. And it's necessary for us to be able to do that now and in the future.
Denise, do you recall, I know we have the rate, but do you recall what the, based on the calculation per household would have been in the past couple of years?
No, I'm not. I mean, well, in the past couple of years, we didn't increase taxes.
Right.
So it would have been the
Zero.
same.
Okay.
Would have been the same. Yeah.
And when does the reverse appeal get added in?
Hopefully surplus next, well, it'll be happening in 2026. So you'll see it at the end of 2026's replenishment
Okay.
for 2027.
Your second forecast where there is a 3.5.
And then a 3.5.
Right, so that requires the following TC to be on board with this decision also.
Well,
And-
correct.
And for me, even that's a question, meaning
Correct.
like,
And really, I mean, these are estimates to give you an idea of what's going to happen if you're not conservative. But every year, you're going to have to look at your budget increases, your revenue, what the assessed value actually did, and how much you replenished your surplus for.
So yeah, so the 3.5 is kind of just a nice thing to look at because you can't look at the second year because to Amon's point, that TC would have to approve a 3.5 or another 5.5 or another 7, depending on where we land.
Or nothing.
So yours or nothing, right? Yeah, which seems unlikely.
Right,
But
I'm just saying.
so the 3.5 is still just a 3.5 for this year. We're not committing a future TC.
If we unilaterally approve this budget, and we're all in favor of it. Oh, I'm sorry. If we unilaterally approve this budget, the landscape of our TC will only change by one member.
but we are also still trying to forecast what their decision might be.
Well, it would be at least 4 of us would be part of
But our-
that decision for
but our
2027,
opinions could
correct?
change within 12 months.
Exactly.
No, I'm just saying theoretically.
Theoretically, you're right. Yes,
Like
agree.
if this is predictive, all right, and we're basing our decision today on this information being for the most part accurate,
Agreed.
you would say that if you're approving the 3.5 and 3.5, that's what you'd be proving. Right. And
But we only really can approve the 3.5 for this year. Next year's TC has to
Agreed.
approve that.
Yeah, we have to
3.5.
prove it again. I'm just saying.
And so, and
Theoretically.
they have to be on, you have to have a majority be on board in that
Correct.
next year.
Correct.
So we all are in agreement, we need a tax increase.
Correct.
Okay, so it's whether it's 3.5 or 7 at this,
Or-
or it could be
or
something
In between.
in between, or less than 3.5, but that would be really irresponsible.
You came up with the number 7 from some mechanism. Can you share with us that mechanism?
We're using $3.5 million of surplus. I'm comfortable that we would still have another 4.5. I'm comfortable having more than half because I'm not sure what's going to happen moving forward. If we do 3.5, we're using another 800,000 of surplus. That worries me a little bit. That's why I sat at the 7 cents.
Well, and even at the 7, 2030 looks not great. We haven't had a surplus percentage versus budget of less than what? Less than 30% since 2016. And we'd be looking at under 15% in 2030 with a 7% increase. That's, I'd be hard pressed to suggest going below 7%, 7 cents.
Yeah, I mean, we could have gone more than 7, but I thought that would be sticker shock to everyone, even though dollars wise, it's really not. But I felt like that might be too much to handle. And I also have to watch too, because there's a levy cap, right? So you can only go up so much. But
Right.
I still have over $1 million in the levy cap that I could spend on taxes. So we're fine
Sure.
with the 7 cents or more, but.
And you know, to the point that, yes, all of our costs are going up, right? Just like everybody else's, we're also a cost for everybody else. So that's
That's true.
that's the challenging dynamic and the balance we have to play. But I don't see how we can go less than the 7 cents.
And we talk about bond rating. Are there any thresholds where our bond rating all of a sudden gets knocked
I
down?
mean, listen, the more surplus you use versus what you replenish, the harder the bonds, the banks will look at it when they're going out to give you your bond rating and to give you your interest rate. They can see a history of a large surplus here. There's a balance between how much you use and how much you don't use that they look at. And they like to see at least 25% of your budget sitting in your surplus. They like
As
to
far
see
as
that.
best practices, what do you know? Like what's Robinville surplus? What's West Windsor's?
No idea.
Okay.
No idea. I mean, that South Brunswick didn't do the right thing for many years, and now they're transitional aid, which means that
What's
the
that?
state had to come in and provide them relief
Oh.
in order to
They'll
balance
do
their
that?
budget. And with that, the state also mandates and regulates everything they do.
Is that a
They-
strategy?
They
or-
can't,
Yeah, is that?
Where's this?
South
an option?
Brunswick. They can't spend, they can't do a purchase order for certain
I thought that
things
was trendy.
without getting approval from the state. That's how.
I think that's
We don't want to
trendy
be in that
too, right?
situation.
What if, I mean, I'm going to throw it out there, but if, I'm just looking at the impact on the average person, right? If we did 7 this year and then nothing in the out years, but I mean,
Well, I mean, you're going to be in trouble eventually.
no matter, again, we're going to be in trouble again. So the 7 is also not going to be enough long-term. If you wanted to get to that,
Well, I mean, I
That-
think if you do 7 now and you do 4 next year, and
Holy
then you
crap.
see how things
Wow.
look, you could potentially, maybe if you get the reverse tax appeals, if we have some influx into surplus we weren't anticipating, added assessments for some reason go
Yep.
crazy, then you could look at, okay, then 2. That's why I feel like at this point, it's going to be a year by year between
Yeah.
now and your next round of affordable
to your guys'
housing.
point of future TC considerations, right? Got
Between
it.
now and the next round of affordable
That
housing.
we can only control what we're deciding today within this year,
So,
which is.
One of the things that, Rob, you said is that we're all experiencing, every resident is experiencing increases.
Mhm.
Okay, yes, we can't say what next year DC is going to do, but hopefully they're responsible and they see these numbers. So to edge into it by doing a 3.5 with the knowledge that there will be more increases, people can then certainly plan, for tax increases. That, I'm just putting it out there. yes, I understand the 7% hit is needed, but it just seems like we'll be slightly under, like, so we'd be using more than half, so we'd be using 4.3 million. If we do a 3.5 and 3.5 million, it's basically 1 million of our surplus would have to be used for the 3.5% tax increase. So I'm just putting it out there that maybe a gradual increase might be more beneficial for
I'm not sure that the
residents.
public really understands when you tell them a 3.5 cent versus a 7 cent tax increase. You really have to lay it out in numbers. to them.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
You know, like,
Right.
so.
It's $40 a month for your average assessed property of 623,000. So if you do
Versus
the math-
20.
Versus
So it's
$20 a month,
$20 more a month, really,
Right,
if
you
you
do
do
the
7
math
instead
on
of
whatever
3.5.
your assessed value is of your home, and you have to calculate your own number that way
And there's some,
and gauge your impact.
but there are also some retired people whose houses went up in, in cost, and they're on a fixed income, and it may seem like, oh, you have a higher assessed house, and you're paying more though too, because of these taxes, the 7 tax increase. Yes, it's the average home, but there are people that are on fixed incomes where their houses have increased without them realizing that they would increase so much. And I'm just thinking of elderly
I
people.
Think about it, that as well as, again, your electricity bills, like, just the
Right.
cost of everything, your healthcare, food, everything has gone up.
This isn't,
Everything has gone up.
this
So
isn't punitive to the residents, of which we are residents in this town. And it's not a decision that is, it's the cost of running the town at this point. And yes, affordable housing has tipped us over the edge. And I hope the state understands that that's a mechanism, that's a burden they've, not a burden, it's a responsibility, but yet a burden also. But every town must be having this conversation at this point, I have to imagine. Because this round, although exorbitantly expensive for us, has had to been expensive for other towns too. It is the cost of running this town. And Denise, to your, you made this comment about how you could have actually given us numbers higher than 7%. And I appreciate your foresight in keeping it conservative, but yet secure, hopefully, for our future, because that security is a very important piece. And when we talk about how we set things up for future TCs, that's what we're doing right now.
And keep in mind, you did decrease taxes by 10 cents.
Twice, right? 10 cents and then 4 cents. So I know that's why I had asked you that pointed question. At the time that we could, taxes were decreased, and no one's to say that in the future, maybe a decade down the road, maybe less, that can be re-realized. But at this point, this town has to be run, and it has to be run responsibly. And our decisions are, our burdens are expensive.
And I look back at the history, and again, it's not to Monday morning quarterback any decision, but there's a combination of things that brought us here. There's decisions from 10 years ago. I mean, look at how the warehouse decision, look at how the conservative approach to open space and preservation that was used. Some of those things are like so well intended, but they have consequences that no one could have predicted down the line, and how formulas were going to be calculated. And so there's a combination and a perfect storm, some in a good way and some in a terrible way, that have brought us to this point. But I think at the end of the day, I agree. We have to set the town up to have an approach that if anything were to happen here, that could cripple this town in an emergency. That's what that surplus is for. It is a reserve, and it's to be there to protect the town from fiscal collapse.
Right.
And looking at those numbers, when you're breathing in, I mean, the 3.5 at $187,000 doesn't feel like we're protecting the town.
No,
I mean, as a resident, I want to contribute to the health of the town. I hate that we're discussing it, but again, if we do this now, then maybe we replenish our surplus in a way that surprises us, and then you could look at a decrease.
Maybe when they start digging for the foundations for the affordable housing, we'll strike
Oil, right?
yeah.
There's
oil,
gold in that there land.
You never know.
Thermal energy.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'd also ask residents to keep in mind, right? We have wildly lower taxes than surrounding towns, and we provide an awesome place to live, both from a school perspective, from a township perspective. There's value in what you're paying in your taxes, right? And I think there's something to be said there for the way that this has been managed over the years. To some extent, we may have been paying too little for quite some time. And that's how we end up in a spot like this, plus the affordable housing requirements, et cetera, et cetera. That being said, I think I can project a number too, right? And if it were to be a 10% tax increase, it'd be about $60 a month, right? So like all of those things we can sort of work out in our heads, but it does seem like the reasonable path.
I think, Rob, you really brought up a really good point too. You brought up that we don't know what the school is going to, an increase that could potentially be
Nor
there.
the county for
Or
that
nor the
matter.
county. So we have to take, like, I know we're trying to take care of the town, but we have to keep it in perspective of all the bills that are potentially going up, which will most likely happen because salaries need to increase, et cetera, and healthcare, et cetera. So I think we need to look at this holistically and, holistically as a resident too, that people are on, as I'm going to say, there are quite a few people on fixed incomes. And, if we can ease it in, I that's my preference.
There are programs for property tax freezes, et cetera, right?
For
For seniors and, yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
there's Stay New Jersey, it's property tax relief
That's right.
for seniors. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I would,
So there's a good portion of those folks who are on fixed incomes, who are seniors, who will have their taxes frozen or.
Well,
yeah,
that's a
Up to
whole
the
nother story.
certain
That's a
amount.
whole different calculation because
Correct.
that's dependent
Is
on
it income
income.
based?
Yes.
Yeah.
it's less, I have it up here, less than $500,000 and a maximum rebate of $13,000. So, if you're making $500,000, you can afford $40 a month.
I'd agree.
Yeah. I think the important thing that we have to remember, and that the townsfolk who are listening in or will watch later, is that, we're doing this for the fiscal health of the town in which we live in. And we're raising all of our taxes today. And, the goal being to make it a sustainable and desirable place to live 5 years, 10 years, 15 years from now. So I think it's important that we do this. Just a little anecdote. I went to go park my car at New Jersey Transit Monday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the parking went from $7 to $13.75, which is like, I just did the numbers. It's,
My math skills are not amazing, but I'm pretty sure it's about 100% increase.
yeah, and it's, almost $1,300 a year for the same parking spot. Point being, like, we're doing this to invest in the town. And if you watch this budget process, we comb through every dollar and we account for every dollar, and we don't spend like drunken sailors. We do it responsibly, So I think that I'm for 7. I think it's a smart thing to do.
Okay, so I guess we'll straw poll 7.
I'm a yes on that.
Okay. Matt's a yes.
Yes.
I'm a yes.
Okay. Lisa?
Yeah.
Barbara?
I'm for 3.5, knowing that over time we would have to do it, but I lost. So.
7 cents it
It's
is.
not a loss.
It's not a loss. I'm with you. I struggle with it because what I'm afraid of exactly what you brought up is that it can change and we can only control what we do here today. And if the decision is made for no increase next year, that's what worries me. It worries me that we don't have control
And I
over
think
the next step.
1
I
cent.
struggle with it.
1
I
cent
struggle with it.
tax is $204,000. So if you're doing 7 cents, that's 1.4 million, and that's basically what our capital improvement fund is. That's what pushed our operating budget over. So we're basically funding the affordable housing with the tax increase.
And I think it's important to highlight for the public that this was not a mayoral decision. This is a township committee decision based on numbers crunched by our financial advisors.
Thank you for that.
And I think it's, okay.
Yeah, I just think that people that have been in their homes, they have seen their assessed values increase significantly. Yay, great. But also they're on fixed incomes, and that's something that just needed to be considered. That's all. And I appreciate everyone's input, and I support it.
Okay. So we're at public comment. Okay. Nope, he's just here to watch.
He doesn't have rotten tomatoes to throw at us. So that's a good sign.
Okay, closing public comment. Okay. Okay. And call the meeting
Are you
to order?
entertaining a motion to adjourn or not yet?
Motion to adjourn?
Yes, so moved.
Thank you all for being
Favor.
here.
I
Aye.
Right.